All right, everyone. Ready to dive into the world of Hamster Kombat and their new token, HMSTR.
Buckle up.
Now, we know you're not just here for the adorable hamster avatars,
Yeah, yeah.
right? You're here because you want to know if this token is going to be huge, if it'll be the next big thing in play to earn.
Yeah, everyone's trying to figure that out.
And you're smart to be curious. This whole gaming and cryptocurrency thing, they're like inseparable now.
It's a whole new world.
And Hamster Combat, well, they've already got a dedicated fan base, and now they're adding fuel to the fire with this HMSTR token.
And we're here to break it down for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've been checking out some recent analysis, and one thing that jumped out was just how many tokens they're launching. 63 billion? Can you believe that?
63 billion, that's a lot of hamsters.
It's a lot of anything.
And it's definitely something to keep in mind. It's like, imagine when those limited edition sneakers drop.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's going crazy trying to buy and sell.
The price is all over the place.
Exactly. Until things settle down, you know? And having this many tokens at launch, it can create a similar situation.
So we could be in for a bit of a wild ride with the price, at least at the beginning.
It's definitely a possibility.
Okay, so buckle up, everyone.
And speaking of wild rides, did you hear about HMSTR's pre-market listing?
What happened?
It shot up from a fraction of a penny to 14 cents.
Wow, talk about a hamster on a wheel.
Exactly. But here's the thing, it stabilized pretty quickly. Settled between 1 and 5 cents.
So the initial excitement died down a bit.
It did, which is usually what happens. Those early price swings are always exciting to see, but that stabilization period, that's when things get interesting.
How so?
That's when we start to see what the market really thinks it's worth, beyond all the initial hype.
So the dust settles, the hamsters catch their breath, and we get a clearer picture.
Exactly. Now, another thing to remember is that 12% of these tokens, they're locked up in an airdrop.
Hold on, airdrop locked. What does that even mean?
Good question. Basically, some of these HMSTR tokens, they're being given away for free to early supporters and adopters. That's the airdrop part. But they can't immediately trade them. They're locked up for a set amount of time.
Interesting. So what happens when those tokens are finally unlocked? Could that affect the price?
That's the million-dollar question. It could create what we call selling pressure.
Selling pressure.
Imagine a dam holding back a ton of water, in this case, HMSTR tokens. When that dam breaks, those tokens unlock a lot, like flooding the market. And usually when supply goes up, price goes down.
Okay, so that's definitely something to watch. But for now, let's talk about what's being predicted for launch day. I've seen analysts talking about figures like $0.008 to $0.009.
Yeah, and to understand those numbers, we got to talk about market cap, basically, the total value of all the HMSTR tokens out there. Think of it like a pie.
Okay, I like pie.
The bigger the pie, the more potential slices for everyone.
Right, but a bigger pie doesn't always mean tastier slices. I mean, the game itself has to be good for the token to have value. You get that, right? It's like you could have the most amazing restaurant with rave reviews and everything. But if nobody's actually going there to eat, what's the point, right? So a big market cap is great, but only if the game is actually attracting players.
Absolutely, you hit the nail on the head, and that's what makes this whole thing so interesting, you know?
Okay, so what are we seeing, in terms of people actually playing the game? Any indicators that Hamster Kombat has that long-term appeal?
Well, a lot of analysts are definitely focused on that market cap potential, which, like I said, based on those initial price predictions, could be somewhere between $500 and $600 million.
Okay, so a decent-sized pie, potentially, but are people actually going to want a slice?
Right, and this is where understanding how the game works is key. See, Hamster Kombat, it's got these really cool play-to-earn features. We're not just talking battling hamsters here. Players can earn rare items. They can breed these virtual pets with unique traits, even own virtual land.
Oh, wow, so it's like a whole metaverse thing.
Exactly. And all of that adds to the appeal.
Okay, so there are all these different ways players can engage with the game, potentially earn some money. That's got to be a good sign.
It is. It really suggests that there's more to it than just the initial hype. And this ties back into the tokenomics stuff we were talking about, remember?
The airdrop locked tokens.
Yep. The longer people are engaged in the game, the more those tokens are going to be a part of that whole ecosystem. Breeding fees, marketplace transactions, you name it.
So potentially, the more integrated those tokens become, the more their value could go up.
Bingo. Now, like we said, those initial price predictions of $0.008 to $0.009, they seem pretty reasonable, but some analysts, they're even more optimistic.
More optimistic? Like, how optimistic are we talking?
Well, some are saying that with enough hype And assuming a really strong launch, HMSTR could reach $0.015.
Wow. Okay, so what would that mean in terms of, total valuation?
We're talking close to $1 billion for its fully diluted valuation.
Okay, hold on. Time for a quick explainer. For those of us who don't speak fluent crypto, what exactly is fully diluted valuation?
Good question. It's a mouthful. Imagine all the HMSTR tokens that'll ever exist are already baked into that giant hamster pie.
Okay, with you so far?
The FDV is like looking at the total value of that entire pie, even though not every slice is available just yet. It gives you a sense of how big this whole thing could get.
So $1 billion hamster pie, that's a lot of virtual cheese. But seriously, what would have to happen for HMSTR to reach those kinds of numbers?
It's ambitious, for sure. Remember, hype can only take you so far. We need to see real engagement, a thriving in-game economy, and the Hamster Kombat team has to keep the updates coming. Think of it like a viral video, right? It might get millions of views in a day, but a classic movie, people keep coming back to those for years.
So HMSTR needs to be more like The Godfather than like a cat video.
Exactly. It needs staying power.
And how do we figure out if it has that staying power? I mean, is there a way to compare it to other gaming tokens that have done well?
Absolutely. It's always helpful to compare, kind of see what's possible in this space.
Yeah.
One comparison that comes to mind is Notcoin, another gaming token, and they actually managed to hit an $800 million FDV. And then there's Cadison. They reached $900 million.
Okay, so hitting $1 billion valuation, it's not unheard of.
Exactly. It's been done. But, every project is different. What works for one hamster might not work for another.
Right, so we can't just fixate on the numbers, right? We have to look at the whole picture. Speaking of which, HMSTR is generating a lot of buzz, especially with the Binance launch pool launch coming up.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
And for anyone who doesn't know, Binance is a major player in the crypto exchange world.
Yeah, huge. Absolutely. Getting listed on Binance launch pools like prime real estate. It's like having your product on the front page of Amazon, that kind of visibility. It can significantly increase a token's trading volume. And that can drive up the price.
But more visibility also means more people who might be impulsively buying in just because everyone else is, right?
That's the thing about hype. It's a double-edged sword. And this is where investor psychology comes into play. Not everyone is in it for the same reasons. Some are playing the long game. Some just want to make a quick buck and get out.
And that's why understanding who's investing and why is almost as important as understanding the technology itself.
Absolutely. It's all connected.
So to summarize, we've got a lot of moving parts here. We've got the tokenomics, the market cap potential, user engagement, and then you've got the psychology of the inventors themselves.
That's a lot to take in.
That's a lot to wrap your head around, that's for sure.
It really is. Kind of like trying to predict which hamster is going to win the next Hamster Kombat tournament.
Huh. Perfect analogy. But seriously, how do we make sense of it all?
Well, you've got to diversify, look at everything, not just one piece of the puzzle.
And that's what we try to do here, give you all the angles.
Exactly.
So let's bring it all down. What are the key things our listeners should keep in mind when it comes to HMSTR?
First things first, never underestimate the power of hype. It can be exciting, sure. It can drive up prices like crazy.
Everyone wants in on the action.
Right, but then it can also lead to irrational decisions. People get caught up in the moment, and that can lead to disappointment.
Fear of missing out, classic FOMO.
Exactly. Don't let that cloud your judgment. Got to look beyond the hype.
So take a step back, look at the fundamentals, right?
Exactly. Ask yourself, what is it about Hamster Kombat, about this HMSTR token, that makes you think it's more than just a fad?
Is it the gameplay, the community, the team behind it?
All of that. Speaking of the team, doing your research on them is always a good idea. See what they've done before.
Track record, experience, all that.
Exactly. A clear plan for the future. Are they transparent with their community? That's huge.
Especially in the crypto world.
Oh, absolutely.
So let's recap. HMSTR, it's got potential, but there are risks. We've got a large token supply. That airdrop unlock is coming up. And then there's the hype factor that's always there.
And don't forget about the game itself. People have to actually enjoy playing it.
Because nobody wants to invest in a ghost town, even if it's full of hamsters.
Exactly. So do your homework, be aware of the risks, and remember, a good investor, they use both their head and their gut.
I like that, head and gut.
If something feels off, it probably is.
Words to live by. Information is power, and we've given you the knowledge you need to make informed decisions.
Now go forth and invest responsibly.
And may your hamsters always be Victorian.
Yeah, here.